Let me welcome students of BCom third year for a series of lessons in company accounts. For Group B, Unit 1, we will have a series of 4 lessons. In this lesson today, our aim will be to get acquainted with the series of transactions that pertain to the issue of shares by a company and the process of recording these transactions. A company is a voluntary association of persons formed and registered under the Companies Act with the purpose of carrying on business activity aimed at earning profits. The capital required by the company is obtained through subscription from the public to the share capital. The share capital is divided into small units called shares, and the shares can be transferred freely. For raising the capital required by the company, the steps to be taken by the company are issue of the prospectus, receipts of the applications for the shares, allotment of shares, and the issue of shares to the members. The prospectus is an invitation to the public to subscribe to the company's capital. The prospective shareholders submit their applications along with the application money, offering subscriptions for the shares. When the company accepts these applications after scrutiny, the process of allotment of shares follows. For such of those applications that are accepted, the companies send the allotment letters. In respect of the shares that are not accepted, the company will have to refund the application money received. Allotment of shares is communicated through a letter of allotment, which forms an acceptance of the application or the offer made by the prospective shareholders. The letter of allotment will indicate the manner in which the balance amounts due on the shares are to be paid by the prospective shareholders. Let us now, with the help of an exercise, look at the sets of accounting transactions and the recording thereof relating to the issue of shares by Alfa Limited. Here you have the information on the transactions pertaining to the issue of shares by Alfa Limited. On 1st April 1986, Alfa Limited issued 50,000 shares of 10 rupees each, payable rupees 3 per share on application by May 1st, rupees 3 per share on allotment by June 1st, and rupees 4 per share on first and final call by July 1st. By May 1st, applications were received for 80,000 shares. By May 15th, applications for 10,000 shares were allotted in full. Applications for 10,000 shares were rejected, and the balance were allotted on a pro rata basis. By June 1st, allotment monies due were received, and on 10,000 shares, allotment as well as call monies were received. By July 1st, first and final call monies due were received, except on 2,000 shares. We have now to pass the journal entries in the books of Alfa Limited and show the ledger accounts. Let us look at these sets of transactions in Alfa Limited. The 50,000 shares that are issued for rupees 10 each is to be paid in 3 stages. Rupees 3 at the time the applications are forwarded, rupees 3 per share by way of allotment money, and rupees 4 per share by way of first and final call money. It is possible that the company can ask for the amount on the shares to be paid in 4 or more installments. If that be the case, you will have instances of the application money, the allotment money, the first call money, the second call money, and the final call amount being received in sequential stages. In our case, however, the amount is sought to be collected in 3 stages. You would also note that the response to the issue of shares by Alfa Limited was very good. Alfa Limited received applications for 80,000 shares, and it decided to accept 10,000 shares in full. 10,000 shares were rejected after screening. Of the balance 60,000 shares, Alfa Limited accepted 40,000 shares. This means that for 3 shares applied for by these applicants, 2 were accepted by Alfa Limited. You also noted that some of the applicants had paid the call money in advance along with the allotment money. You had also noticed that there were arrears of calls due in respect of the amounts payable on final call to the extent of 2,000 shares. Now, let us look at the preliminary summary that it will be desirable for us to make before we start recording the journal entries. This is provided in the table. On 1st May, application money received on 80,000 shares at 3 rupees per share, rupees 2,40,000. As on May 15th, allotments made were for 50,000 shares at 3 rupees per share, rupees 1,50,000, and rejections were 30,000 shares on which we received application money of 3 rupees per share, totaling to 90,000 rupees. Out of the rejections, on 10,000 shares that were rejected, a refund is to be given at the rate of 3 rupees per share, amounting to rupees 30,000. On the balance of 20,000 shares that were rejected, the application money of rupees 3 per share is to be transferred to the allotment money due. This amounts to rupees 60,000. On 1st June, the balance allotment money due on 30,000 shares at rupees 3 per share were received, and that amounted to rupees 90,000. Along with that, we also received calls in advance pertaining to the first and final call due later on 10,000 shares at rupees 4 per share, amounting to rupees 40,000. On 1st July, we received the balance call money on 38,000 shares at rupees 4 per share, amounting to rupees 1,52,000. And on 2,000 shares, we did not receive the call money that was due at 4 rupees per share, showing thereby the calls in arrears of rupees 8,000. With the summary of the transactions thus recorded, we are now ready to take on the passing of the journal entries in the books of Alfa Limited. The first transaction that is recorded in the journal of Alfa Limited relates to the receipt of application money on the 80,000 shares applied for. On 1st May 1986, 80,000 shares were received along with rupees 3 per share towards application money, and this will be recorded by the journal entry debiting bank account for rupees 2,40,000 and crediting the share application account for the same amount. For this journal entry, you will give a narration, being the amount of rupees 3 per share towards application money received on 80,000 shares. Then on the 15th of May, the company takes its decision regarding the allotment of shares. 50,000 shares were to be allotted, but 80,000 shares have been applied for. As already mentioned in the details in the exercise, 10,000 shares were fully rejected, and for 60,000 shares that were applied for, 40,000 shares were allotted, and 10,000 shares were allotted in full. We have to account for the allotment money received, 2,40,000. And for the 50,000 shares, they are effectively allotted at the rate of rupees 3 per share. On 50,000 shares, we transfer rupees 1,50,000 to the share capital account. On the 20,000 shares that were rejected, out of the applications for 60,000 shares, you have the amount of rupees 3 per share totaling to 60,000 rupees that has been received. This will be transferred to the allotment account in respect of those applicants. So you have the credit for share allotment account for rupees 60,000 on the 20,000 shares at the rate of rupees 3 per share. And on the 10,000 shares that were rejected, the application money of 3 per share is refunded, and that is recorded by a credit to bank account for rupees 30,000 on 10,000 shares at 3 rupees per share. The narration for this journal entry will now be, being the transfer of the share application amount of rupees 2,40,000, 1,50,000 rupees to the share capital account on the 50,000 shares that are allotted, 60,000 rupees to the share allotment account, being the transfer of share application money on 20,000 shares rejected but adjusted against allotment money due, and rupees 30,000 being refunded on the shares that were totally rejected. On the 15th of May, once the decision on the allotment has been taken, you pass the journal entry transferring the allotment money to the share capital account. This journal entry will be share allotment account debit rupees 1,50,000 to share capital account credit 1,50,000. The narration for this journal entry will be, being the amount of 50,000 shares allotted at 3 rupees per share allotment money transferred to the share capital account. Now that the allotment has been made, the allotment money will have to be paid on the date indicated, which in this case is 1st June. Alfa Limited receives 1,30,000 rupees. At the rate of 3 rupees per share on 30,000 shares, the allotment money of rupees 90,000 is received. And at the rate of 4 rupees per share on 10,000 shares, calls have been paid in advance. So you pass the journal entry on that day, debiting bank account 1,30,000 rupees and crediting share allotment account 90,000 and crediting an account called calls in advance account rupees 40,000. The narration for this journal entry will be: being amount received on 30,000 shares allotment money due at the rate of 3 rupees per share, and towards calls in advance on 10,000 shares at rupees 4 per share. Subsequently, the first and final call amount at the rate of 4 rupees per share is due on 1st July. On that day, the transfer entry has got to be made, debiting the share first and final call account for rupees 2 lakhs and crediting share capital account rupees 2 lakhs. This is the amount of 4 rupees per share due on the 50,000 shares that have been allotted altogether. Again, on the same day, there are further receipts towards the final call money that is due. The total amount received is 1,52,000 rupees. This amount has got to be transferred to the share first and final call account, because that pertains to the amount due on first and final call. Apart from that, towards first and final call, we had already received in advance rupees 40,000, and that has to be transferred by debiting calls in advance account for rupees 40,000. The corresponding credit goes into the share first and final call account. And there were also calls in arrears for which money has not been received, which has got to be indicated separately by debiting calls in arrears account. On 2,000 shares at 4 rupees per share, the amount is due. The total debit comes to rupees 8,000. The narration for this journal entry will be: being amount received towards first and final call at the rate of 4 rupees per share, rupees 1,52,000. Being calls in arrears on 2,000 shares at the rate of 4 rupees per share, rupees 8,000. Being transfer of calls in advance amount on 10,000 shares at 4 rupees per share, rupees 40,000. And the total transfer to share first and final call account is on 50,000 shares at rupees 4 per share, totaling to rupees 2 lakhs. Having thus passed the journal entries in Alfa Limited, we are now ready to prepare the ledger accounts to indicate the position of the individual accounts. First, we will take up the bank account in the ledger of Alfa Limited to see the position regarding the receipt of money against the applications, allotments, etc. We first take up the postings on the debit side of the bank account, which will reflect the receipts made as per the transactions listed in the exercise. We received on 1st May on 80,000 shares at the rate of 3 rupees per share the application money of 2,40,000 rupees. This is posted on the debit side May 1st to share application 2,40,000. Subsequently, on 1st June, we received allotment money on 30,000 shares at the rate of 3 rupees per share. From the journal, we record that transaction and post it on the debit side of bank account 1st June to share allotment account rupees 90,000. Same manner, on 1st June, you find a debit in the journal to bank account for rupees 40,000 and a credit to calls in advance rupees 40,000. This is posted on the debit side of bank account June 1st to calls in advance rupees 40,000. Subsequently, on 1st July, we received the first and final call money of rupees 1,52,000 from the journal. On that day, 1st July, we have the posting on the debit side of bank account to share first and final call account, 1,52,000 rupees. Thus, we have received in all rupees 5,22,000. But in the initial money received from the applicants, we had decided to reject 10,000 shares, and on that, at the rate of 3 rupees per share, 30,000 rupees is to be refunded. For this, we have a journal entry whereby you have a debit for share application account for rupees 30,000 and a credit to bank account for rupees 30,000. This posting in bank account will appear on the credit side May 15th by share application account rupees 30,000. Now we are ready to balance the bank account in Alfa's ledger. We received 5,22,000 in all during this period, of which 30,000 rupees were returned, and we are left with a balance of rupees 4,92,000 as at the close of business on 1st July 1986. And this is shown on 2nd July as the balance brought forward, rupees 4,92,000. Then we prepare the share application account in Alfa's ledger. You will find a journal entry on the 15th May debiting share application account for 2,40,000 rupees and transferring to share capital 1,50,000, share allotment 60,000 rupees, and bank account 30,000 rupees. That transaction is posted on the debit side of share application account dated the May 15th to share capital 1,50,000, to share allotment 60,000, to bank account 30,000. Then on the credit side, you have a posting indicating the receipt of the application money of 2,40,000 rupees on the 80,000 shares applied for. This is the first entry in your journal. We get it posted on the credit side of share application account May 1st by bank account 2,40,000. The share application account will not be showing any balance because the 2,40,000 rupees that we had received by way of application money has got to be transferred to share capital account, to share allotment account, and part of it has been refunded, accounting in all for rupees 2,40,000. Next, we will prepare the share allotment account in the ledger of Alfa Limited. You may recall that part of the share application money was transferred to the share allotment account, and the balance alone was received in cash. Let us first look at the debit side of the share allotment account. On the 15th May, when the decision was taken to allot 50,000 shares at the rate of 3 rupees per share, the allotment money due is transferred to the share capital account, for which you had the journal entry share allotment account debtor to share capital account. This comes as a posting on the debit side of the share capital account, share allotment account on 15th of May to share capital account rupees 1,50,000. Now let us look at the posting on the credit side of share allotment account. On the 15th of May, the share application money of 3 rupees per share that we had already received on the 20,000 shares rejected is being transferred to the share allotment account. And on 1st June, on the balance 30,000 shares, we receive at the rate of 3 rupees per share, rupees 90,000. If you can trace the journal entries, you will see that share application account was debited for rupees 60,000, crediting share allotment account for the same amount. This comes as a posting on the credit side on May 15th by share application account 60,000 rupees. On 1st June, you have the journal entry where there is a credit to share allotment account of rupees 90,000, which gets posted by bank rupees 90,000. And the share allotment account has no balance as at the close of the transactions because the entire allotment money received or the amount transferred through share application has been fully transferred to the share capital account. Next, we will see the posting in the share first and final call account in Alfa's ledger. You have noted while passing the journal entries that an amount of 2 lakhs of rupees is due towards first and final call money at the rate of 4 rupees per share on 50,000 shares. Let us see the posting on the debit side of the share first and final call account. On 1st July, when the first and final call money is due, we pass a transfer entry debiting share first and final call account for rupees 2 lakhs and crediting share capital account for the same amount. This appears as a posting on the debit side on 1st July to share capital account 2 lakhs of rupees. Then the money received and other adjustments made will appear in the ledger on the credit side of the share first and final call account. On 1st July, we received towards first and final call money rupees 1,52,000. There were calls in arrears because on 2,000 shares at the rate of 4 rupees per share, we had not received the money. And the money that was received in advance earlier, along with the allotment money on 10,000 shares, is 40,000 rupees. So this entry for the money received and for the transfers and adjustments is passed on the 1st July. From the journal entry as on that date, you make the posting on the credit side of share first and final call account by bank 1,52,000, by calls in arrears 8,000, by calls in advance 40,000 rupees. And the share first and final call account thus balances.